Have you ever considered why so many saints and mystics throughout the centuries have spoken of signs in the sky as announcements of decisive times for humanity? Why so many men and women deeply united with God have warned that before great spiritual events, the firmament would speak, not only with natural phenomena, but with messages that transcend the visible and touch the soul, calling each heart to awakening and sincere conversion. For the heavens do not move in vain, and when something extraordinary manifests above us, it is not a mere spectacle, but an urgent call to inner preparation. For a long time, unusual astronomical events have been seen as signs laden with sacred meaning, not as mere scientific curiosities, but as expressions of divine sovereignty that bends down to warn its children. Among those who have received a profound understanding of these mysteries is Father Michel, a priest known for his intense prayer life and for the revelations he claimed to have received in moments of recollection before the Almighty. In hours of profound silence and ardent contemplation, he spiritually witnessed something that marked him forever. The vision of 3 suns rising in the sky, not as an illusion, but as a sign of immense spiritual weight. The warning that sprang from this experience was clear and direct. When you see 3 suns in the firmament, remain inside your homes, do not expose yourselves, withdraw into prayer, for this is not a simple rare phenomenon, but a sign that demands prudence and discernment. This guidance does not stem from human fear, but from a spiritual alert that invites vigilance, because the appearance of 3 suns should not be seen as a common event to be observed with curiosity, but as an extraordinary manifestation permitted by God to prepare humanity for profound transformations that will touch the consciousness of many, requiring firm faith and a purified heart. What reaches the ears of those who hear this message is not coincidence, but an invitation to spiritual responsibility, especially for those who desire divine protection in troubled times and understand that true security begins in a soul aligned with the Creator. As we delve into this mystery, we realize that signs in the sky have always been interpreted as warnings and invitations to conversion, not mere changes in the atmosphere, but expressions of God's power that remind humanity of its fragility and dependence on grace. The 3 suns fit into this context as a prophetic sign pointing to intense changes, not only external but also internal. This will not be a time for distraction or speculation, but for reflection and silence, because the spiritual energy associated with such an event, according to the warning received, will deeply touch every spirit. Those who are unprepared may feel confusion, fear, and inner instability, while those strengthened by prayer will find clarity and firmness. Staying home during this period is more than a physical measure. It is a spiritual attitude, transforming the home into a sacred refuge, a consecrated space where God's presence is invoked with faith, where one prays, asks for protection, and wards off all negative influence. For in decisive times, the forces opposed to good try to act with greater intensity, knowing that their days are limited. Going out without discernment can mean exposing oneself to disturbances that confuse the mind and weaken courage, but retreating allows one to hear God's voice in silence, strengthen family unity, and maintain inner peace while events unfold. In these days, the home ceases to be merely a material shelter and becomes a sanctuary, a place where divine light is kept burning through constant prayer, trust, and spiritual vigilance, protecting not only the body but especially the soul against the turbulence that can engulf the world. Around us, signs of profound crisis are already perceived. Transformations in nature, extreme phenomena, unexpected disasters, behaviors that seem to deviate from the usual order, and many see only chance where there may also be a warning. For each tremor of the earth, each intense storm, each extreme variation that defies known patterns can be understood as a call to reflection and a return to God. The world is going through a crisis that is not only environmental or social, but spiritual, a growing distance from the divine path that demands urgent awakening. In this scenario, the sign of the 3 suns emerges as a final call for inner preparation, purification of the heart, and absolute trust in the protection of the Almighty, because only those who are spiritually attentive will recognize the meaning of what they see and will know how to act with prudence, faith, and firmness in the days to come. My children, listen with attentive hearts and not with spirits consumed by fear. At many moments in history, heaven has allowed signs to awaken sleeping souls. I revealed to my son, the priest Michel that when you see in the sky something like 3 suns shining at the same time, you should not leave your homes. It will not be a spectacle to be contemplated with curiosity, but a serious sign, which will mark the beginning of a phenomenon that will touch all of humanity. Understand, my little ones, that the signs are not given to provoke panic, but to lead to conversion. The world has turned away from the heart of my Son, Jesus Christ, and therefore the earth groans under the weight of disobedience, pride, and indifference. When this sign manifests itself, many will be unprepared, seeking human explanations for what is also spiritual. There will be confusion, fear, and disorder, because the hearts of many no longer know how to discern the voice of God. I tell you, remain recollected in silence and trust. Protect your homes with prayer and living faith. It will not only be a visible phenomenon, but the beginning of a time of purification. Just as a storm clears heavy air, so too will a time come when what is hidden will be revealed, and each soul will be called to definitively choose between light and darkness. Do not be afraid of the word chaos. True chaos already resides in the heart that lives without God. What is to come will also be mercy, even if many do not understand. For the Father does not abandon his children. He corrects to save. Those who stand firm in faith will not be overcome by despair. Trust will be your strength. Beloved children, strengthen your homes from now on. Reconcile yourselves. Forgive one another. Be vigilant. Do not wait for a sign to begin living in grace. The present time is already an urgent call. Preparation is not about accumulating material possessions, but about cultivating a pure heart, an awakened conscience, and unwavering faith. When the world trembles, may your hearts remain anchored in God. When many run to and fro, seek silence. When the news spreads fear, remember that heaven reigns above all human disorder. I warn you not to frighten you, but so that you may be ready, because even in the darkest days, the light of my Son never goes out. And those who trust, even if everything around seems to crumble, will experience a peace that the world cannot give nor take away. My beloved children, draw near to my heart and listen deeply to what I tell you. When I revealed to my priest son Michel Rodrigue the sign of the three suns, it was not to fuel curiosity, theories, or human discussions. It was a maternal warning, an alert shrouded in sorrow and also in mercy, because a mother doesn't announce danger to frighten, but to protect. When you see in the sky something resembling three suns shining simultaneously, don't try to understand it only with your physical eyes. It won't be a simple atmospheric phenomenon, nor something common that science can quickly classify and conclude. It will be a spiritual landmark, a dividing line in time, a beginning of events that will profoundly touch the structures of the world and the foundations of the human heart. Many will take to the streets out of curiosity. Others will run after immediate answers. There will be screams, confusion, interrupted communications, fear spreading like a strong wind, because the modern world has built its security on fragile foundations. Technology, power, control, pride. And when something escapes human control, many will feel lost. I ask you, stay in your homes. Withdraw. Not to flee, but to protect your soul and your spirit. Withdrawal will be an invisible shield. Silence will be protection. Prayer will be a light when the surrounding environment seems to darken. Children, understand something profound. The greatest phenomenon will not be in the sky, but within consciences. There will be an intense spiritual upheaval. That which is hidden within each human being will be confronted. Many will feel an inexplicable weight, others a deep unease, because the truth will touch souls directly. The chaos I mention is not just material destruction. It is the collapse of false securities. It is the fall of masks. It is the shaking of structures that were erected without God. And when that which seemed firm crumbles, only those built upon the rock that is my Son, Jesus Christ, will remain standing. Do not allow fear to dominate you. Fear paralyzes, but faith sustains. Fear confuses, but trust illuminates. Prepare yourselves now with righteous lives, with sincere repentance, with reconciliation within your homes. Because in difficult times, what will sustain a family will not be what it possesses, but the love and faith it has cultivated. There will be days when many will ask, why does God allow this? And I tell you, because the human heart needs to be awakened. Because humanity has strayed far from the truth. And when the Father calls gently and is not heard, he allows stronger signs to save what can still be saved. Do not interpret this warning as a final sentence. It is a call, an urgent invitation to conversion. There is still time. There is still mercy. There is still an opportunity to return. Strengthen your homes spiritually. May your homes be small havens of peace. May there be forgiveness where there has been offense. May there be reconciliation where there has been division. Because when events begin, unity will be an invisible force that will sustain you. My children, do not let yourselves be deceived by voices that will mock, discredit, or turn everything into a spectacle. The world likes to transform the sacred into entertainment. But that which comes from heaven demands reverence and discernment. Remember, even when the sky seems to announce something frightening, above all is divine providence. Nothing escapes the Father's gaze. Nothing happens without his permission for a greater purpose. If you remain steadfast, you will see that even the difficult days will bear invisible fruits. Souls will return. Hardened hearts will break. People who lived in indifference will seek the truth. And in the midst of apparent disorder, a purification will be born. Do not walk carelessly, but neither should you walk in terror. Walk vigilantly. Walk confidently. Walk with your hearts united to God. I enfold you with my maternal care. I do not abandon you. Even when the signs seem severe, my presence will be with those who invoke me sincerely. And after the storm, the light will be clearer for those who persevere. Times are becoming dense, and many feel within themselves a weight they cannot explain. There is an evil that silently infiltrates families, minds, and decisions, weakening hope and cooling faith. Therefore, I ask you with tenderness and firmness, pray. Pray with perseverance. Pray not as those who repeat empty words, but as those who place their own lives in God's hands. When I tell you to strengthen your faith, I am not speaking merely of a passing feeling, but of a profound decision. Faith is a daily choice. It is standing firm when everything seems uncertain. It is trusting when circumstances say otherwise. It is keeping your eyes fixed on my Son, Jesus Christ, even when the world offers easy shortcuts and seductive illusions. Evil exists, my little ones, and you must not ignore it. But neither should you overestimate it. God's power is infinitely greater. When a soul lives in a state of trust, when it seeks the truth, when it strives to remain in grace, it becomes protected by an invisible fortress. This does not mean that it will not face struggles, but it means that no struggle can destroy it from within. Strengthen your homes with sincere prayer. Do not allow division to find space where there should be unity. The enemy works in discord, impatience, and pride. Combat this with humility, forgiveness, and vigilance. A home that prays together becomes a beacon in the darkness. Always keep in mind, God protects you from all evil. Even when you do not see, he acts. Even when you cry, he sustains you. Even when you feel weak, he carries you. Divine protection is not the absence of difficulties, but a constant presence of support. Many times you have been protected from dangers you never even knew existed. Do not give in to fear. Fear paralyzes faith. Instead, cultivate trust. Repeat within yourselves, I am in God's hands. This certainty transforms anguish into serenity and restlessness into hope. Children, do not wait for difficulties to increase before seeking intimacy with heaven. Begin now. Convert now. Strengthen yourselves now. Every small decision for God builds a wall of spiritual protection around you. I walk with you. I intercede for you. I do not abandon you in the storms. If you remain faithful, even amidst trials, you will see that evil will not have the last word. The last word always belongs to God's love. Pray, trust, and remain steadfast. The Father watches over you. My Son sustains you, and all of heaven watches over those who do not give up their faith. My beloved children, remain gathered in my heart and listen deeply to what I tell you. I speak to you not only to console, but to strengthen. Pray, my little ones, for prayer is the food of the soul. Without prayer, the heart weakens, the mind becomes confused, and the spirit becomes vulnerable. With prayer, however, even in the midst of the greatest storms, the soul remains firm as a rock. Evil acts silently. It does not always arrive with noises and visible signs. Often it presents itself as constant distraction, as spiritual coldness, as indifference to the suffering of others. It weakens homes through impatience, lack of dialogue, and absence of forgiveness. Therefore, I ask you, strengthen your faith before weakness sets in. Do not wait for a crisis to seek God. Seek Him now while there is still serenity, so that when the strong wind comes, you will be prepared. When I tell you that God protects you from all evil, understand this with spiritual maturity. Divine protection does not mean the absence of trials, but it means that no trial will have the power to take away grace from you if you remain united to heaven. There are battles that God allows to purify, to mature, to awaken, but He never abandons a child who trusts. Always remember that my Son, Jesus Christ, conquered evil not with violence, but with love and obedience to the Father. True strength is not in aggression, but in faithfulness. The more the world is agitated, the more you need to cultivate inner silence. The more darkness seems to advance, the more you must nourish the light within you. Pray with perseverance, even when you feel nothing. Faith is not measured by emotions, but by constancy. There are days when the soul feels fervent, and there are days when everything seems dry. Continue anyway. Faithfulness in arid times builds a deep and unwavering faith. Strengthen your homes. Let there be a word of blessing where there was once criticism. Let there be a gesture of affection where there was coldness. Evil weakens when it finds a heart determined to love. Do not underestimate the power of a small act done with purity. A humble attitude can prevent great spiritual falls. Children, always keep in mind, you are guarded by the Father's gaze. How many times have you been protected from accidents, from wrong decisions, from dangerous encounters, and you didn't even realize it? God's hand acts in the invisible. To trust is to accept that He sees beyond what your eyes can reach. Do not let yourselves be dominated by news, rumors, or gloomy predictions. The world often amplifies fear. You must amplify faith. When you hear words that generate panic, respond inwardly with confidence. When you see situations that seem out of control, remember that nothing escapes divine providence. If you feel weak, do not be discouraged. Acknowledged weakness is a gateway to grace. God does not reject a humble heart. He draws even closer to those who admit their need for help. Pride drives away, but humility attracts heavenly support. I am with you in the silent nights, in the worries you share with no one, in the hidden tears. You are not alone. When you pray, even in few words, all of heaven moves in your favor. Beloved children, strengthen your faith as one strengthens a fragile flame against the wind. Protect it with discipline, with vigilance, with conscious choices. Avoid everything that weakens the spirit. Draw near to that which draws you closer to God. Evil will never triumph over a persevering soul. It may wound, it may tempt, it may confuse, but it cannot destroy one who remains united to God. Divine protection is an invisible shield, a safe haven, a constant presence. Remain steadfast, remain confident, pray without ceasing in the depths of your hearts. And even if the world goes through difficult times, you will walk with serenity, because you will know that protected by love that never fails. In these times when so many forces seek to destabilize families, weaken faith, and sow division, I ask you with tenderness and firmness, invoke the protection of Saint Michael the Archangel. He is a faithful defender, a vigilant guardian, an obedient servant of the Most High, sent to combat evil and protect the children of God. Do not be afraid to ask for his intercession. When a family unites and cries out for protection, an invisible force rises around it. Saint Michael fights what your eyes cannot see. He confronts the spiritual attacks that try to reach your homes through discord, discouragement, temptation, and lack of faith. My little ones, evil often does not present itself in an obvious way. It begins with small breaches, a harsh word, a harbored resentment, prolonged indifference. Therefore, in addition to asking for protection, watch over your hearts. Saint Michael defends, but it is necessary that each of you choose to remain in the light. Ask him to protect your home, to guard your children, to strengthen spouses, to illuminate your decisions. Ask him to deliver you from all evil, from visible and invisible evil, from external evil and from that which tries to infiltrate the interior of the soul. When you invoke him with sincere faith, heaven answers. Remember that true protection is not only in spoken words, but in a life consistent with God. A family that seeks to live the teachings of Jesus Christ becomes protected territory. Evil may try to approach, but it finds no space where there is prayer, forgiveness, and true love. Children, teach your children also to trust in the protection of heaven. From a young age, let them learn that they are not alone. Let them know that there is a spiritual army that fights for those who belong to God. This will give them courage in moments of fear and firmness in times of temptation. Do not transform your request for protection into despair. Do it with confidence. He who lives in grace need not live in terror. Faith dispels fear. Confidence closes the doors to the enemy. Vigilance keeps the house firm. When you feel uneasy, when you perceive conflicts arising without reason, when peace seems threatened, immediately resort to the protection of Saint Michael. Call upon him with simplicity. He is powerful, but he is also a humble servant of the Most High. His mission is to defend and lead souls closer to God. I enfold you with my maternal care, and beside me walks the one who fights for the people of God. Remain steadfast. Do not neglect your spiritual life. Heaven's protection is available to those who trust and persevere. My beloved children, I speak to you again with the tenderness of a mother who watches day and night over each of you. Do not ignore the spiritual battle that is taking place during this time. It is silent, often invisible, but real. Therefore, I ask you again, turn with confidence to the protection of Saint Michael the Archangel. Call upon him not only in moments of great affliction, but also in the simple routine of your days. Saint Michael was faithful when many fell. He remained steadfast when there was rebellion. His strength comes from total obedience to God. It is this faithfulness that makes him a powerful defender of families. When you invoke him with sincere faith, he stands as guardian before the doors of your home. Not only the physical doors, but the spiritual doors, thoughts, decisions, influences, paths. Children, understand something profound. The greatest protection begins within the heart. It is useless to ask for defense against external evil if you harbor resentment, envy, or distrust within your home. The enemy seeks openings. An unforgiven word can become a fissure. Nurtured pride can turn into division. Therefore, while you ask for the protection of Saint Michael, also choose to live in humility. Ask him to remove from your family every spirit of discord. Ask him to protect your children from bad influences, to guard your marriages against coldness and infidelity, to strengthen those who feel weak and discouraged. Ask him to deliver you from all evil, that which presents itself clearly and that which disguises itself with a harmless appearance. Remember that spiritual battle is not a reason for panic, but for vigilance. A home that prays together becomes difficult to shake. When there is dialogue, forgiveness, and a sincere search for God, an environment is created where evil finds resistance. Saint Michael acts with power, but the cooperation of the family is essential. Teach your children from an early age to trust in heaven. Let them know that they do not walk alone. May they learn that there is a protection that goes beyond what the eyes see. This will give them the courage to say no to error, the strength to resist temptations, and serenity in the face of the world's pressures. Dear children, do not wait for crisis to knock on your door to begin invoking protection. Preparation is done in calm. The fortress is built before the storm. When you cultivate your spiritual life with constancy, when you keep your faith alive and nourished, divine protection becomes a continuous presence, not just emergency help. Never forget that above all combat is the victory of my Son, Jesus Christ. Evil may fight, may try to confuse, may generate noise, but it has already been defeated at its root. Saint Michael fights under the authority of the Most High, and nothing can exceed the limits permitted by God. If at any moment you feel fear, transform that fear into a confident supplication. If you feel unrest in your home, gather yourselves together, even if only for a few minutes, and surrender everything to heaven. Family unity is a powerful wall. I enfold you with my maternal care. I walk with you through silent worries, difficult nights, and struggles no one else knows about. I will not abandon you. When you ask for protection, heaven moves. When you trust, grace multiplies. Remain vigilant yet serene, steadfast yet full of hope. Ask for the protection of Saint Michael with confidence. Live in accordance with your faith, and you will see that, even in challenging times, your family will remain guarded under the light and peace that come from God.